Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar about of today on different approaches in pediatric cases. When we talk about pediatrics in general, there's a lot of a lot of people actually believe that homeopathy only works for pediatric cases, and they really trust with homeopathy because there are no side effects. You can easily take the medicine, but being a homeopath, there are few things that you have to keep in mind when you take such cases or what your approach should be in such cases. Firstly, your clinical knowledge have to be at its best. When you talk about pediatrics, it starts right from a newborn infant to an adolescent, and you have to be aware of all the possible health issues or milestones that you're going to be covering up with this child. A newborn can come with birth injuries or delayed milestones. An infant can come up with dentational issues. A children can come with attention deficit or severe cold and cough, frequent episodes. An adolescent can come with heartbreaks, anxieties, addiction. So when you talk about pediatrics, you should be aware what are you dealing with, and your knowledge should be thorough in those aspects. So dealing with pediatric cases is not just dealing with sardi and khasi and cold and cough. Yeah. Another aspect is you should know things like basic things like APGAR score. What is the normal APGAR score? You should have idea about all the vaccinations which are compulsory by the government in that particular country which you're practicing, and at what age they have to be given. What are the complications that can come? These are the questions that every parent would want to discuss with you, and you need to really guide them step by step and take them through this so that they know what is it going to be like. As children happily take the medicines, parents will be more than happy to continue with homeopathy. But along with homeopathy, you should give them right dietary advice, etc. You should be very thoroughly known with all the milestones so that you can differentiate between the normal and the abnormal. What is the age, normal age to talk, crawling, all the milestones should be very well known for you. And similarly, then you can differentiate between a normal and an abnormal. These are few very basic things that I wanted to cover up before we start, because these are things that will most commonly come to you. Yes, patients will come up for medications, but these are doubts and these are things that you need to be knowing well and helping your patient's parent know. Because you have to remember, when you're dealing with a pediatric kid, you're actually dealing with an entire family, not just the kid. Because for you, it may be okay, I have a patient who has 102 fever, but for the mother, my child has 102 fever. So the two are very, very different from the perspective of each. And along with the child, you have to deal with the mother, her anxiety, the family who will say, why are you giving homeopathy? Just take to the allopath. Why are you making child suffer? Etc. etc. So there's a lot of things that come along with the child. But yes, a lot of other positive things also, that once you treat a child in an acute and uh, the mother who's awake all night giving you the symptoms, your availability, if once you get the child out of this, the family will have utmost confidence into you and into the pathy, and you'll see how beautifully the child's immunity also develop, and how the parents can also have trust and faith in the system. So let's understand few things what are important in pediatric cases. Most important thing in pediatric cases is our observation. A lot of time I've seen a lot of students and doctors say that if children trouble a lot, so I ask the parents to keep them out or in the waiting area they're drawing, or keep them at home and first you give the case. Yes, we need to take symptoms from the parents and the relative, but you really need to observe the child. You need to really have the child in front of you. Even if it's a TUB kid who is destroying up your entire clinic, or it's a calcaria who's just sitting shy in a corner. These things, whether what are the characteristics, like is the child talking to the mother, looking at you, maintaining eye contact, is he cautious while playing, what is his drawing like, what is he talking like, is he chewing his nails, are there any white marks on his nails? All these will come only with observation. After that, the next most important thing is you need to thoroughly examine every child to see if there are any swollen lymph nodes, if there are tonsillitis or engorge, if they're doing a mouth breathing, in case of adenoids. You need to make sure that you go by these thorough steps. A lot of time people just take symptoms and treat cases without knowing the diagnosis. I feel it's one of the most important thing to know, as you should know what you're dealing with, what's going to be the prognosis of the disease, at what time do you need to get investigations done. These are important aspects which will help you. birth history of the child, whether the APGAR score was normal, whether the child is taking the feed well. These are other important aspects. In the present totality about the craving, aversion, thermals, and the most important thing, as we all know in pediatric case, is the mother's history during pregnancy. It is believed that the mother's state of mind and the physical symptoms, the cravings, are transferred to the child, the symptoms that she has during pregnancy. So this really helps us a lot in specifically in cases in which the child has developed any pathological things or any autistic features or an ADHD. A lot of times स्टूडेंट्स टेल मी कि पेशेंट बच्चों से क्या माइंड स्टेट पूछने का, वो तो सब वही रहता है, मीठा पसंद है, भूत से डर लग रहा है. But if you actually be the child with the child and talk to the child, you'll understand that every child is so different. And even if you ask them something as simple as dream or what cartoon you like, they can go very imaginative, they can go very different, and everybody will tell you what, a different story. And what is important about the story is it is somewhere an essence or a core about them. So it's very important to know the mind state of every child. While you're taking all this, obviously rule out the anxiety of the parents, try to counsel them, try to help them also know their child more. Try to tell them what are they supposed to notice, what are they supposed to report to you. Okay, so with this we start with our cases. So we'll see different approaches of how different cases came and how differently we can treat each case. So this was a case of a child with impetigo. As we know, impetigo is a bacterial skin infection with staphylococcus or strepto, and it mainly happens on the face and extremities mostly. It can affect anybody, but most common in children. So this was a particular case which I had to talk over WhatsApp because the patient is out of country and the patient was already given treatment by another doctor. So the reporting features were, as you see in this case, how the crust were forming, of how there was, these eruptions were very very offensive, they were very very painful, the child was in a lot of pain, there was a lot of suppuration, of how you see the child's condition is, okay, on his extremities, both hands and legs, okay. So in this case, the causative factor was the father had come to India for a small trip, and when he returned, he had got these eruptions, and it seems the child happened to get this infection from the father. So when you take totality of the entire symptomatology that is there, we got that eruptions had started on the extremities and very on the legs and very fast spread to the hands as well. They were offensive, pustule filled, painful, and some were even bleeding, as you see in this image. The child was in a lot of pain with low grade fever, and obviously, the child used to cry a lot because of utmost pain. Few other characteristics were appetite for degrees, low grade fever, craving for yogurt, cheese. But there was no either major characteristic in any mind level or in general level. But definitely we had characteristic at the physical level. In this case, as the time was short and as I said that the case was over WhatsApp, I had not taken the mother's history during pregnancy because in this particular case it was acute of a bacterial origin. So what we could focus on is the presenting picture at that very moment, and in such cases, what I normally do is whatever characteristic you get at the physical level, repertorize it. Repertory really grounds you with this so that you don't turn up giving the most common remedy like sulfur or mesothelium or something like that. And on repertorizing only the characteristics like ulcers, painful lower limbs, ulcers discharging offensive putrid, skin having crust or scabs, you see a host of remedies come up. So, like I told you, before the patient came to me, he was already given a medicine. He was given carbonium salt by another doctor, and the child had not recovered with it. And as you see, carbonium salt definitely stands out very strong in these symptoms as well. Now, what we could do is we could go and read each and every remedy from Materia Medica and try to differentiate each one of them and see what is the characteristic. What is for sure that we know about the case. So in this case, one thing that we knew for sure is that already taking treatment from other, the skin was just not healing. It was just very suppurating, and as we see the other. So I was reading this remedy called gunpowder from Materia Medica. So when you see gunpowder from Clark, you see it's actually a compound made up of three medicines: sulfur, carbon, and nitrite. That is our kali nitricum. And you see out of these three, sulfur and carbon are two polychrist remedies. And if you read further, he says that sphere of action in cases of septic suppuration of wounds that have become poisoned with germs. So you realize how this was also looking, this impetigo. In impetigo, when you itch more, it just the infection just keeps on spreading more and going further deep and deep. But what was interesting is what was given in Borix Materia Medica: abscess, boil, carbuncles, limb purple, wounds that refuse to heal. This is exactly what was happening in this child case, that the wound was refusing to heal at all. Because we got symptoms characteristic only at the physical level, this child was given gunpowder 30 once a day for 3 days. Let's see what went to happen in this case. So, as the father wrote to us, that the impetigo, which was very painful, bleeding, and discharging over the extremities, was given carbonium sulf and 30 and 200, which didn't help. On giving gunpowder 30, it began improving just the following day, and it was 85 to 90% better and just kept on improving. So, again, when you see that when the right remedy and the right indications, the medicine that you give, our medicines act very quickly. Now it's been 10 months and she's left with only few scars which are barely visible. And they thank, because in this case, obviously the child could go in secondary infection, there could be major scars, and this she could go into a high grade fever and sepsis. But all of this could be prevented just by 3 doses of gunpowder. That's it, nothing repeated. And as you see in this case, how the skin totally cleared up. Yes, as you see, there are few scar marks because the child had really itched, but I'm sure with time this will as well as heal. So you see, in this case, what was important was the physical. Let's go ahead and see another case. This was a case, the youngest case that I have seen. It was a case of a 7-month-old infant, and it was my early days of practice when this child had come to me. And so the story of this child was, before coming to me, he was already in hospital, and he had developed severe pneumonia and asthma. His elder sibling had got chickenpox, after which he developed from him. As we know, chickenpox is highly contagious, and just at 7 months old, this infant got that, went into complications of pneumonia and was asthma, IgA, Ig levels very high, put on heavy nebulizers, on pumps, and a lot of medications. Even after being discharged from the hospital and taking medication, the child was not feeling so better. So that's the time when they came to me. And what I could observe about this child is, even without auscultating with the stetho, the child had so much wheezing that it could be heard across the room. And very, very loud, very loud cough, very like a barking cough. I took the entire case history. The child used to startle on noise. One characteristic was the mother had craving for apple during pregnancy. Based on these symptoms, the most common remedy that comes is antimony tart, and I had given this child this. But unfortunately, this medicine didn't help the child, and then the next day, the patient was almost in an SQ. So I'll just play a small audio recording of the father. You can hear the symptoms. The audio recording is when the child was 3 years old, but I'm just playing it now so that you can get idea of how the disease progressed, and then we'll see how we went about in the case.
जी बताइए। इनको पहले चिकन पॉक्स हो गया था, फिर उसके बाद चिकन पॉक्स होने के बाद इनका केस निमोनिया पे चला गया था। देन इसको हॉस्पिटलाइज करना पड़ा था। 6 days ही वॉज हॉस्पिटलाइज। आफ्टर दैट इसको स्प्रे चालू हो गए थे। स्प्रे चालू होने के बाद फिर हम लोग ने स्विच ऑन किए होम्योपैथी के ऊपर। फिर होम्योपैथी स्टार्ट करने के बाद इनिशियल स्टेज में 1 month तक स्प्रे कंटिन्यू था, फिर ऑल्टरनेट डेज चालू कर दिए थे। फिर ऑल्टरनेट डेज चालू करके फिर 1 day यानी वन टाइम इन अ डे का चालू किया था। फिर इनिशियली स्लोली पूरा कैंसिल हो गया, बंद कर दिया। देन उसके
क्या एज थी जब इसकी?
7 months का था तभी। फिर उसके बाद होम्योपैथी चालू होने के बाद से अभी काफ़ी इम्प्रूवमेंट है। स्प्रेज तो पूरे बंद हो गए और अभी नॉर्मल हो गया है। जो विजिंग होती थी उसको, जब वो कॉफ करता था तो लाइक विजिंग साउंड आती थी, चेस्ट पूरा कंजेस्टेड हो गया था। नाउ इज टोटली गुड। अभी तो सब चीज़ भी खाता है, ठंडा भी खाता है और फिर नॉर्मल सब फ्रूट्स वगैरह भी खाता है, बनाना वगैरह कोल्ड।
अभी इसकी कितनी है एज?
नाउ ही विल कंप्लीट ऑन जुलाई, ही विल कंप्लीट 3 years.
So you see how the father beautifully explained of how each symptom develop after the other. So like I said, I gave antimony tart, and there was not much improvement in the child, or rather I can say no improvement. And at this time, I happened to meet Dr. Sunirmal Sarkar, who's a very, very well known doctor from Kolkata and an excellent teacher, and He had come down to Mumbai for a session, a seminar, and I happened to meet him, and I got hardly, barely maybe 10 minutes with him. And I started telling him that, sir, I think I need your help with the case, and it's a 7-month-year-old infant. And I think I spoke to hardly a minute or less. And sir said, okay, beta, done, got it. I was like, I've not even completed the case, but at that time, he said, beta, what do you want to treat in the child? I said, he developed, he's like, excellent, very good, you took excellent case. Just 1 minute of the case. And he told me that basically the child is not well since he got chicken pox, right? Open Alan's keynote, see what is written. And as you see in Alan's keynote, it is written very nicely in Carbo Veg. Persons who have never fully recovered from exhausting effects of some previous illness. Yes, we all know Carbo Veg is a very well known remedy for never well since, but this was the first time I saw the practical application of this. And also, what beautifully is seen and what Dr. Sarkar pointed out, asthma dates from measles or pertussis of childhood. So, how you see in this case, this is exactly what happened. The child's immunity had gone down after getting chicken pox and he went into complications of pneumonia, asthma. This is all that kept happening. And this is exactly what Cabo Veg said. So I had given this child Cabo Veg and he was much better. He improved dramatically and his nebulization was off. The pediatrician said he's not even asthmatic. His IG levels came down. It obviously takes time to around 6 months. It came down to normal. But what is most interesting about this case is when the child came to me, he was 7 months old and was given a remedy based on the causative factor at that time, which was chickenpox and never well since. Today, this child is 7 years old and he's still with me. And because he was given homeopathic at an early age, he has developed good immunity. He's hardly taken any allopathic once in a while, maybe a paracetamol. No nebulization, no asthma, no wheezing. And in general, other aspects of his health have also beautifully helped him grow. So, like I said, once a child is in acute and once you help the family out of it, they are going to trust you for life. And I can actually say he's a homeopathic kid. So it's totally about his entire family takes, but specifically about him. Right from the time when you can imagine a seven parents of a 7-month-old taking him from one hospital to the other, and he's wheezing and he's still not fine, and already told that he may need pumps all his life. So this is how you can really help pediatric cases. Let's quickly go ahead and see one more case, and the most important, that is acute. A lot of time students tell me that acute may we come up with the same remedies, whether it's dry cough, brownia, or whether we give calcarea, and we don't get many symptoms and everything is so common. How do we differentiate? So acute is actually what it is, a very short acting time. At the same time, as a disease is also short acting, the time that you have in your hand is also very short. You need to give quick results, you need to find the characteristic, you need to be available for the patient. 110 fever for a day is okay for everybody, but second day, if you're not able to get the fever in control, they will definitely go ahead and take other system of medicine. So you need to be very quick and precise in your prescription with acutes. And acute, if you take a proper case, acute means you get very characteristic and distinct symptom. You just have to keep few things in mind. Like in acute, you need to know the diagnosis very well so that you know when to send for investigations, what are you treating with. If there is any exciting factor, did they get wet in rain, did they have any exposure to cold, what is happening there? Some children are very irritable, some are quiet. What is happening in the illness with them? The modalities, the patient's state of mind, the general symptoms, thermals, cravings, aversion. Sometimes children have a lot of, they see a bad dream, they see ghosts, and they develop into a high fever. Or some fear or emotion sets into a fear. So this is very important again to know if there was any dream or any incident. So let's quickly go ahead and see a case. It was a case of a 6-year-old child. She was my existing patient already. And I get a call from the parents when I was at my clinic that the child has developed very high fever going from 103 to 104 since morning. And I asked them to come to my clinic, but obviously as the child had very high temperature, they had given a paracetamol by the time they could get to the clinic. And everybody in the clinic started sponging her as the temperature was quite high. And in the meanwhile, I was asking the parents about the symptoms of what's happening to the child. So few things that we could understand was that the body was very, very hot. The heat used to start from the abdomen and then go up the body. But when I touched the child, her feet were very, very, both the lower limbs were extremely cold to touch. And the parents said that she had episodes of shivering in between. And as soon as, the fever went off, she would throw off all the covering and she would become normal and she would have perspiration on her neck. Now, this is just a general interview, but you see how many characteristics you get at each level, the sweat stage, the heat stage, the cold stage. you get a lot of symptoms. You're supposed to be taking all of this as characteristic and repertorizing and seeing what's happening. Obviously, examination is very important. I examined the child's throat because she said she had some swallowing difficulties. And you see, I saw that there were tonsils were really enlarged with follicular deposits on it. So the diagnosis was follicular tonsillitis. And we know in this the temperature goes very high from 103 to 104. What was interesting is, like I told you, this patient was my already existing patient, and she was a very shy, timid child. Silica was her remedy constitutionally. But during this episode, when she was lying down and her mother was punching, the child was like, "Doctor, doctor, what are you doing, doctor? I love cartoon, doctor. Papa is not taking me for a vacation, doctor. Tell me now, what are you doing, doctor? Doctor, this is something." And she went on talking, and there was this continuous talk. At one point, I felt that the child is getting delirious. But when I checked the temperature, by that time, as I said, we were sponging and she was already given a paracetamol on the way. The temperature was coming down. She was close to 100. But this constant talking, which even the parents confirmed, was since morning from the time she's got this fever. And the mother also said that 2 days back she had seen a dream of ghost from which she had startled and got up. So these are few symptoms that we get. Now, in such case, you've got good characteristics. So the best idea is to put all of them in repertory, like chilliness of the feet, neck perspiration, swallowing, abdomen heat, fever during. You get a host of remedies, some common, some uncommon. Our favorite arsenic will also be somewhere here, sulfur, belladonna. But one thing that you can definitely not ignore in this case is the presenting observation that you had about the mind state. The way the child went on talking, the loquacity that she had during fever. So when you take loquacity fever during, you have only 29 remedies. And when you compare with the other characteristic symptom, you see that lachesis is one of a very common remedy that comes up. Now, this is not a very frequently given remedy in case of follicular tonsillitis or fever or in kids in acute. But when the symptoms are shouting so loud, you can definitely go ahead and give the remedy. So this patient was given lachesis 1M. Obviously, you should read about materia medica also, how it says perspiration on the neck in the sweat stage, etc. And 4 pills twice a day for 2 days. And in the follow up, you see that within a day the temperature came down, the overall health was better, tone brain had improved. But what was very good to see, like in tonsillar, follicular tonsillitis, it lasts at least 4 to 5 days. The follicles take time, the tonsils remain high. Normally, antibiotics are given with very high temperature. But the next day, the child's throat was totally clear. This was very, very interesting to see. So, again, we saw 3 cases, one with causative factor, one with physical, and the third one showed us how even the mind state of the child and the characteristic symptom at that level play a very important role. So this is how different cases will come to you, and you have to just do one thing: observe, take the case, and find the characteristic. It can be at any level. In some cases, it can just be in the mother's history during pregnancy. So that's how you have to do and try to find out. Few things that really help me is observation, be the child with the child, and like I said, find the characteristic. Few books that I would highly recommend is Borland's Children Type. It really helps you in differentiating one remedy from the other. I'll just show you that. In Allen's Keynote and Boric definitely helps you to find the characteristics. And another book which I believe I give every patient of mine who gets pregnant is Dr. R.K. Anand's Guide to Childcare, the Indian Parenting Way. It really helps you know about what are the challenges that are going to come, what are the milestones like. Very beautiful book. I recommend every doctor also to read this. Coming back to Borland's Child, like I told you, like this is from Borland's Child book, you can see children types. Now for Carbovec, the remedy that we saw, you see how it describes very beautifully how a Carbovec child would be. It's sluggish in circulation, so the child will be very slow, will develop sluggishness in stools, constipation would be there, the child would have been pushed at school, terrifying stories, specters, very beautifully it will describe it. Like for example, in case of Sina, it helps us to understand how you can differentiate Sina from Chamomilla. So this book really has helped me understand children type much better, and I would highly recommend you to read. And I just hope that whatever cases we saw and whatever experience we all have shared today, it helps you get a better perspective about how to deal with pediatric cases and how to go about it, and try to find whatever in way the characteristics at any level, and give your best to the child, because like I said, it's not a patient with 102 fever, but it's the mother's child who has 102 fever. So here's my contact details. If you have any queries, any doubt, you can write to me or contact me. Thank you, everyone.